Welcome to the Mount Pleasant podcast, featuring discussions and interviews about the people, places, and events that make Mount Pleasant such a special place.
This is the Mount Pleasant podcast. I'm your host, Brian Cleary, and all thanks to the great people of Mount Pleasant Magazine, I get the honor, the privilege of introducing you to Mount Pleasant, the people who make it such a special place to do business, to work, and even to live. We're introducing you to Mount Pleasant's best on the Mount Pleasant podcast. It, of course, is officially spring in the Low Country, and that means it's farmers market season. So today on the Mount Pleasant podcast, let's talk about the Mount Pleasant Farmers Market, and no place better to start than with the town's events coordinator. Tracy Richter joins us. Tracy, we're ready for Farmers Market, the town of Mount Pleasant Farmers Market. When and where can we visit?
Well, we are so happy to bring the Farmers Market back again for another season. As you know, we open on Tuesdays from 3:30 to 7, and our market season runs from April all the way through September, so which is really the best growing time. And that's sort of lined up to align with all the vegetables and produce that's available down here in the Low Country. As you know, at the Tuesday Farmers Market, we only have farmers and food items. So you kind of got to follow Mother Nature on that one.
So how many vendors, when I come by each Tuesday, can I look forward to experiencing at the town of Mount Pleasant Farmers Market?
So we have over 50 vendors there each week. We have probably 15 farmers, and all the rest will range from ready to eat or spices or items that go into what you're cooking, and eat some take and bakes. This year, I'm very excited to have a coffee bean vendor coming this year, so you can get your coffee grounds for the next morning. So it's really a great way. You know, a Tuesday is a great day of the week because you've had your whole weekend. Maybe your pantry's empty. You come out, you can get eggs and produce and meat, all that kind of stuff. You can eat dinner there that night, so you don't have to rush home and cook. Enjoy live music, and then there's plenty of stuff for the week. And typically the produce that you get at farmers markets lasts longer because it doesn't have to go on a truck from one farm to a grocery store to your house. It's coming from the farm, to the market, to your basket.
And I know it's a question that you get directly a lot, but in terms of vendor, are there any vendor positions available for the 2025 Farmers Market?
Well, I like to accept vendors or applications all year long. Most of the time it might be, at this point, will be a fill-in or maybe late season. Sometimes I have a couple vendors they may be leaving at the end of August. We go through September. Or ones that'll let me know they're going to be on vacations, gives a chance. It's a great way for a starting business to step in and see how things are going. I like it when people come by the market first to kind of get an idea of what this market's like, because every farmer's market's a little different, unique in their own way. I can't say what's unique about Mount Pleasant one versus some of the other ones, but I've been to a lot of farmers markets. I do go to all of the ones in the area to see how they are, and they all have their own personality.
So let's turn our vision to the North Mount Pleasant. There's been a lot of talk about, hey, what about another farmers market in Mount Pleasant? And I guess we're finally getting it.
So we are getting another market in the northern area of Mount Pleasant. Our community spoke out, and our council has talked to us about getting this going, and we're doing our very best to produce a very nice community event for everybody up there. There is a lot of opportunity for fresh vegetables up that way. We have Boone Hall is open 7 days a week and all the other things going on. So we decided to open, the title of it is the Makers Mart with a T, and not the SIPs, but the Mart. And and we have opened this one up to local artisans also, because it's going to be on Friday nights. So it's going to be a lovely opportunity for everyone in that area to come out. We will have some farmers. We're going to have food vendors. There'll probably be food trucks, which is something that's different. Plus a lot of local artisans and crafters that'll have all kinds of different things. We'll probably even have a couple booth spaces open for some local businesses to help out maybe with some activities or things like that. And it's going to be up. And if you don't know this area, this location, and you live up that way, then shame on everybody. But it's going to be at the Park West Recreation Complex, which is a wonderful, wonderful spot. We have a couple events out there throughout the year. But when you pull in, we're going to be right there by the program building, which that might not mean anything, but it's basically the first building. It's right next to the tennis courts, and the grounds there are really great. And you will have there's plenty of parking and restrooms, and there's a playground on the corner. There's electric car plugs there, so if you have an electric car, you can charge your car up while you come get dinner. We'll have live music, so lots of great things too.
In 1982, it was East Cooper Magazine. Now it's Mount Pleasant Magazine. Mount Pleasant Magazine is about the people, places, and events that make Mount Pleasant a great place to live, work, and raise a family. Your community, your magazine. Mount Pleasant Magazine.
You're listening to the Mount Pleasant Podcast.
You read about it in the pages of Mount Pleasant Magazine, and then we go a little more in depth here on the Mount Pleasant Podcast. I'm Brian Cleary, joined by Tracy Richter, the events coordinator for the town of Mount Pleasant. We're talking about the Mount Pleasant Farmers Market that is open now and will be open every Tuesday, Coleman Boulevard next to Moultrie Middle School right through September. But there's a new market in North Mount Pleasant up at the Park West Recreation Complex that'll open up on Friday evenings. Now, Tracy, in the spring, there were a couple of Makers Mart at the Park Avenue Boulevard there across from the Costco. So will this market be similar to that, different from that, the same?
So that one is the first Saturday of every month, and that's at the Bend, which is across from Costco. And then we are going to be a little different. It won't be, it may have some of the same vendors. It may not. It will be, ours, of course, I said was Friday nights, and ours is going to be every week, May through October. That one is every Saturday. And hopefully they both stay popular. You know, I think that there's plenty of vendors out there and plenty of customers, and, you know, maybe sometimes Friday nights work better for you the second and third week of the month, and go to the Bend market over there on the first Saturday.
Now, you mentioned the fact that you go to a lot of farmers markets. There are some different things as you go market to market. One of the things I love about the town of Mount Pleasant Farmers Market, entertainment. Will there be live entertainment again this year at the market?
We do. So we have live music booked for every Tuesday, and then we're going to have live music booked up on the Friday ones also. I'm very blessed to have so many local musicians out there. I have a new musician every week during the summer on Tuesdays. I haven't quite booked it. You know, I don't know what all we're going to have on Friday nights. I have to figure that one out a little bit when we know the location, what's going to work a little bit better. But there will be entertainment. There will be lots of fun.
And then for the Friday night Makers Mart, in terms of vendors, there's still some vendor opportunities outside of live entertainment, of course, but are there still vendor opportunities there for someone to join the mart?
Yes. So again, we will take applications throughout the whole year. That one, I know for sure that some of the vendors that have already applied aren't planning on being there every 6 months. So we love, a lot of times we're still looking for farmers. Farmers are always welcome to apply every market. And food vendors and those different kinds of treats that people like to get on a Friday night. And then they will see when they come out there, we have a lot of space out at Park West. So we're not quite the layout. It's, of course, brand new. So we're seeing how things will work. But we feel on that one, since it doesn't have a pavilion like the Tuesday one is, there might always be room to, just move you over a little bit, squeeze somebody in there. You know, you can do with tents. And as festival layouts go, make a little room here, just scooch back a little bit, okay. So hopefully we'll be able to get lots and lots of great vendors at that one too.
And sometimes some of the complaints about farmers markets revolve around parking, both at the Moultrie Middle School, Coleman Boulevard location, and obviously at Park West. Got to think we're not going to have a parking issue either place.
Plenty of parking for both of them, plenty of time. This is one thing. There's plenty of time at the market. We're open 3.5 hours, 3:30 to 7. So, if you're worried about parking or congestions, just come a little bit later. Come at like 5 o'clock. Generally, the farmers have plenty of food. All the vendors have plenty of items. So, come a little bit later, and there will be, I know at Tuesdays during this school year, we share the campus with the middle school. So it gets a little chaotic at 3:30, but by 5:30, there's plenty of space. So, take your time. Come. We're open till 7 o'clock on both markets. So, lovely time. Come have dinner and enjoy the no rush. So
So it could be the kickoff to the weekend at Park West Recreation Complex, getting off the weekend, bump Monday, and then there we go, Tuesday. The Mount Pleasant Farmers Market is underway. It's our subject today here on the Mount Pleasant Podcast, where the pages of Mount Pleasant Magazine come alive. I'm Brian Cleary. Thanks so much for joining us. Tracy Richter is with the town of Mount Pleasant. She is their events coordinator. You'll find her at every Tuesday at the Mount Pleasant Farmers Market. Are we going to see every Friday night as well, or do you give yourself a little bit of a break going into the weekend, Tracy?
I'm not quite sure on that one yet.
Okay.
I'm sure I will be there. I don't know if I'll be there every single week, but I'm sure I'll be there at least once or twice a month. So
one of the things I love about the Tuesday market, in addition to the fruits and vegetables and all that, normally we've got some local shrimp coming. Can I look forward to picking up some local shrimp again this year at the Mount Pleasant Farmers Market?
Yes, you will. Once we get past the blessing of the fleet, we will have shrimp there. Hopefully every week, when it's available. We have got a really great guy who's going to come out and do shrimp for us this year. And then Mount Pleasant Seafood is always there on Tuesdays, and they will actually steam your shrimp for you. So you can get it you can get two different places. You can have shrimp ready to eat there and then have some to take some home. So we do have it available.
So being that you're the farmers market expert and stuff, you're there all the time, you know the ins and outs. Tell me something at the Mount Pleasant Farmers Market that people may not know about. Is there any secret place, or is there any one thing that you really love to go or really love to highlight in terms of, hey, at the Mount Pleasant Farmers Market, check this out?
Well, I think sometimes what customers forget to do is walk around the whole market. There might be a vendor that you come and you go to this one booth all the time, but sometimes vendors move around. That doesn't mean they're not at the market. They're just in a new spot. We might find some, so, and this year we do have new vendors. Every year we do have usually one or two new ones, and just kind of take a minute. It's not that big. We're under that pavilion. Just do a little loop around and see everybody, because you're going to get a chance to maybe find something new or meet somebody new that's from, coming in from different areas. Some of these vendors travel a long way to get here. And so it's really great for them to get a chance to meet everybody. And another thing is, if you talk to them, you can develop a relationship with them. And then maybe like the next week, you're not going to be able to get there till a little bit later, but gosh, I'm really hoping to get this. There's a good chance they know you, they'll put it aside for you, so that when you do get there a little bit later, they have it for you. The farmers and the vendors have just been the nicest people that I've ever had to work with.
And in terms of the vendors, particularly all the farmers that you talk about, these are really local folks that are bringing their locally grown fruits and vegetables and things to Mount Pleasant, correct?
They are all locally grown. A lot of the farmers, actually, the farmers are coming from all over now. It used to be mainly just the Johns Island farmers, but they come from all different areas now, which is really great. And then we have, I kind of like my protein farmers to kind of say, which is Chucktown Acres and R&R Acres. They are the most interesting people. They know so much about everything they do. You get a chance to talk to the girl from R&R Acres. She hatches emus. I think it's emus, and she'll tell you all about. She knows everything about all of her animals, and they're just remarkable. So give yourself. We are microgreens farmers. He'll give you a whole lesson on microgreens. So if you've ever wondered what they were, he'll tell you.
And just so everybody's aware, we're talking about emus, but I'm not going to be able to come out to the farmer's market to see the emus. She's just going to tell me about them.
Right. This is true. Yes. They'll give you she'll have pictures though.
And you can probably ask her about Limu, Emu, and Doug and find out all about that. But that's a totally different subject. Now, normally, Tracy, on the Mount Pleasant podcast, we always ask our guests and we find out a little bit about them. And one of the questions I normally ask our guests are South Carolina or Clemson, but knowing you, that's a pretty easy answer, right?
I'm a Clemson girl.
Go Tigers. And as we look throughout the year, of course, you'll be able to stop by. So we're talking every Tuesday and every Friday in North Mount Pleasant, Coleman Boulevard on Tuesday. And eventually, and I'm not trying to rush the year along by any stretch of the imagination, but you always wrap up the markets with the holiday market. And we look forward to that again this year, correct?
Correct. So this year we'll still have the holiday market. It'll be the second Saturday in December. We start taking applications for that in August. So I don't have them ready yet. And you do see a lot of your Tuesday vendors. So we ended September on Tuesday, and then there's a little gap. So it's like a little reunion too when you come back out on December to see all those vendors that come back. And it's a wonderful, wonderful day. And it's our whole holiday weekend because, of course, it precedes the parade, which is the second Sunday this year.
So we'll see you busy, of course, every Tuesday at the Town of Mount Pleasant Farmers Market on Coleman Boulevard, the Makers Mart in Park West Recreation Complex on Friday. You mentioned, so let's real quick hit some other things in terms of you're the events coordinator. Fill us in on some of the events that'll be coming up here for the Town of Mount Pleasant. You mentioned the blessing. We're ready for that.
We have the blessing at the end of September. Well, the best way for people to find out most of the stuff the Recreation Department does in my office is to follow our social media. Mount Pleasant Recreation Department on Facebook is the most up to date. Our websites are kind of hard to maneuver; they're the government one, but all of the fun stuff is on that Facebook page, and it's linked to our Instagram. So we have big events like the Blessing coming up. We've got some small events like the Spring Carnival. We have a skateboard competition coming up. That's going to be at the Jones Center. That'll be pretty fun. And then we roll into summer, and we have a kids triathlon, Sweetgrass Festival, all of that stuff's on that Facebook page, on our calendars. And, as you know, other than like competing, like the skate park thing, most of the things are free. The Spring Carnival is going to be May 1st. That's going to precede the opening of the Makers Mart, and that'll be at Park West also. That's a free event. All just fun things for the kids to do.
There's always something going on in the town of Mount Pleasant, and at least in part, the lady responsible for a lot of it is Tracy Richter. We're looking forward to the farmers market. We'll see you some Tuesday at the Coleman Boulevard location next to Moultrie Middle School, or starting in May, the new North Mount Pleasant Makers Mart, and you'll see Tracy at all that. Tracy, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's where the pages of Mount Pleasant Magazine come alive. I'm Brian Cleary, thanking you for joining us today here on the Mount Pleasant Podcast.
Thanks for spending your time with the Mount Pleasant Podcast, your community, your podcast. Listen to past and future episodes at mountpleasantpodcast.com.